Welcome back to our energy update for energetically sensitives, empaths, and awakening people. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm going to be your energy coach and energy healer for the next 20 minutes or so, updating you on collective energies that are affecting your personal energy levels or your personal perception this week for February the 9th till the 15th. As always, we start out with a little review of last week. Please take advantage of this live streaming format. I do this so I can interact with you. I can watch your experiences, your comments, and also to answer your questions. So thank you very much for coming and for watching. In these weekly energy updates, while we're doing the review, I'm mostly reflecting on what energetically sensitive people experienced in this past week, and then I go a little bit into the forecast and give energy tips at the end. Also, which of your energy centers, which of your physical, emotional, mental, social, behavioral, spiritual, and energetic aspects are going to be triggered this week so that you can have a little heads up. But most and foremost, I'm doing this for you so you know that you're not alone. Okay, we all go through this here, and when I say we, I'm addressing maybe 10-15% of the global population at this moment. So many of us have been dwelling in the fringes with our energetic sensitivity, but this year and the coming years are finally there for us to grow into this new paradigm of understanding ourselves as energetic beings, and also to bring this into expression. Yes, it's lovely to see you guys all. Wonderful. So last week was a bit hefty here for most of us. It was part of this 3-week plateau that I had announced at the beginning of January, which is why we took the opportunity and created a 21-day Breaking Through Your Matrix Programming video training series, which we just concluded. I just got out of this. And if you have not heard about this, please click on the link here in the description. It's a free video course diving into the depth of energetic dynamics, showing you what the collective energy, the collective matrix is composed of, and how it influences your energy in detail. All right, so for all the doubters out there, there is a lot of science behind this, but also, of course, the subjectivity of our perception. Yes, it's wonderful to have you guys all here. Many of you I recognize from the 21 days. So you guys already know what I'm referring to. So this 3-week plateau came in with rather intense energies and created quite a bit of challenges for us energetically sensitives. We had this extreme buzzing, this vibrating, but then also days where it was almost impossible for us to function physically, where the physical felt so heavy that we may have felt like caving in. Many of us also had to deal with flu or flu-like symptoms over the past 3 weeks. And so it was a continual up and down of our physical as well as energetic immune system, constantly asking us and reminding us to go into self-love and self-healing with ourselves. And some of us could do this successfully, and some of us were caught in those cycles of fear and degradation and self-doubt. So for you guys, to give you a heads up, when you look at the barometer here for collective energies in the next week, you're going to feel this a lot lighter. It's not going to be as heavy anymore. But you've got to understand that the reason why you could get caught in these collective energies and why this catapulted you into the depths of your dark night of the soul was because you have unresolved aspects there. You have patterns there that you are not consciously aware of, blind spots. And these blind spots, guys, are what we are addressing here with this kind of energy coaching and energy healing. It is you who can learn, who can train yourself and use your energetic sensitivity to discern these things so that you better know what is coming in from the inside and what is coming in from the outside, and what you need to address, what you need to own, where you need to disrupt the pattern, where you need to say stop, whether it's in your relationships or at work or with your own unhealthy habits that you may still engage in. So not to say that this is about becoming all perfect, but this is about becoming less susceptible to collective energies, because guess what? They're always going to go up and down. And there's a continual correction, a continual change going on, especially right now, where we are in the midst of restructuring entire power grids on this planet, entire new laws of interacting with another, new sociological dynamics, and even Earth changes. So the best tip overall that I can give to you is get used to change and work on disrupting old patterns that are no longer needed. And instead of going into hiding, instead of going into disappointment, instead of going into your unresolved inner child stuff, right, that just keeps confirming your ego story that says, oh yeah, I'm alone and nobody supports me, go into the place of empowerment. What do I need to face my fears? What do I need to feel safe? And accept that this is a bit by bit process, a process that comes from a place of no longer supporting the things that are not conducive for you, that are not expansive for your energy. That's your way out, guys, not hiding, caving in, contracting. That's a sure way back into collective energies and becoming more susceptible to the projections and absorptions that are going on around you, that are going on around in this world. And so you've heard me say this many times, but it is really the ability to feel within, to connect within, that then helps you to navigate through this sort of uncharted territory with yourself. Because when you get caught in fear, there's really the fear of the unknown that you cannot fully grasp, and so your ego goes into its familiar pattern, even if this familiar pattern is very painful for you. Next week will give us a lot of opportunity for emotional healing. That's why we will feel this a little lighter. There'll be ups and downs too, but they won't be as extreme anymore. We are coming out of this this pattern, this energetic signature that these last 3 weeks had, and move into a new pattern. This will come in intensely as well, but not so much intensely emotional, more so intensely from things that we observe on the outside. And the only thing that we really have to be careful with is a bit of a cloudiness that we may still have. Irrationality, but not an emotional irrationality, but more like a perhaps a tendency to go into fantasy, a tendency to want to see things in a certain way, and therefore forming unrealistic expectations about what can come out of it, and setting ourselves up for failure. So we have to allow this healing, this recuperation to take place on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And the way we can do this is by, first of all, calming down, by first of all, slowing down, all right? Especially if you have a tendency to go into mental looping, make sure that you understand that you will see more choices, more options when you actually slow down. And you all know that one of the most efficient ways to do this, besides sort of breathing in the moment, is to learn how to silence your mind through meditation. This is something that will be very conducive here for the next week, and also everything that tunes you into your spiritual being. In regards to relationships, there is not necessarily like a la time coming, because even though there is a lot of space here for emotional healing, there's also a potential for all these unrealistic expectations to pop up. And so you really got to be honest with yourself here and go into those places where you can see your own inner child aspects. They'll come forward for a lot of you. And even if you are pretty good at discerning those, and you know sort of what your core fears are and what your core coping mechanisms are, most people around you don't. And so in your relationships, you may run into insecure attachment issues, where you simply have to accept the limitations of your partner or the person that you're with, and you have to see that they simply can't see it. All right, and being sort of the fixer or the healer and trying to illuminate them and trying to explain all that to them is not going to help them. Give them space. Give them space to heal. And while you are healing and becoming a true self, you will begin to see how important it is to actually see everybody else around you as a true self as well, and to respect them and to honor them in their journey and their timeline, if have to be. And if this timeline does not work out for you, then it's not for you to blame the other or call them on not wanting to commit or whatever. Accept the limitations that are there. And all you can do really is ask yourself if this is acceptable for you or not. If this is not acceptable for you, then you need to own this part and literally say, I love you, I understand what you're going through, but this doesn't work for me. This is not what I'm in for right now. This is not what I need. Okay? So you need to learn how to let the others be. Just because you are on this journey of self-healing doesn't mean that everybody else wants this too. And even if they do, it doesn't mean that they have the same timeline as you. So as you learn to honor yourself as a true self, remember to honor everybody else in that way as well. Seeing ourselves as a spiritual being and understanding the sacredness in our existence always goes both ways. It has to go both ways. But just because collective energies are not really transporting this or supporting this at this point in time doesn't mean that it's not moving towards it. So it needs time, it needs space. There needs to be appropriate release of all the stuff that is no longer needed, so that the new can be implemented, so that it can grip. All right? So calm and slow down, and don't make your timing everybody else's timing. Also, on the Earth changes, we're going to see a lot of more activity. It's going to speed up a little bit in the next week. So don't freak out. This is, again, also part of, the Earth's vibration speeding up. And there are some places on this planet that need to release all this stuck up energy. And so as hard as it sometimes is to go through these times or to just hear about them in the news, you've got to understand that the people that live there and that go through the misery karmically agree to this experience. All right, they resonate with the place that they are in, and therefore sort of go into harmony with whatever occurs there. That's why it's so important to be aware of the place that you live, and if this place feels truly conducive for you, deep down, you know, like asking your heart's navigator if this is the right place for you. There are places on this planet that are more conducive for the overall energy, and then there are places that are less conducive. And then there are places that are influenced by the collective karma that exists there. You know, things that the entire tribe, the entire civilization there has stored over hundreds of thousands of years that can trigger things in you continually and repeat these old karmic patterns. So you've got to really feel within if the place that you were in, or if the relationship that you were in, or the job that you were in, if this is perpetuating old cycles, or if this is actually bringing in expansive and new energy for you. This is really what you need to overcome some of these fear of going through the unknown, because as soon as you begin to become able to trust in your inner guidance, in that inner navigator, then you know, step by step it will be easier for you to make decisions that seem to come out of the left field, but that are ultimately more conducive for you, that bring you more into a state of coherence and syntropy with yourself. Oh, socially, yes, this cloudiness that I mentioned here at the beginning that is coming in for the next week may cause hostility, may cause assaults. Also, revelations. I talked about this last week a little bit. There is still a lot of stuff cooking here in our societies that needs to come to the surface. And also conflicts that are being produced in order to maintain the old paradigm. So expect those things to come forward. I'm not sure, I'm not actually seeing a big event, but I'm seeing revelations that may lead to a bigger event later, socially and geopolitically. Energy centers affected this next week are mainly going to be our fourth, our heart chakra, and our sixth chakra. And for some of you also, the first chakra, the root chakra, that is coming in with some of the inner child and safety stuff. I don't expect a big sort of karmic processes going on, other than the ones that you've discovered here in these past 3 weeks as repetitive. So the big energy tip that I have for you overall is to go into these last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and look back at it with the question, what is my learning experience here? What can I learn from this? And some of you who were actually able to tune into the positive aspect of this intensity may have experienced some very, very cool moments of what is possible, the miracle that is possible. And that can create a new hope, a new vision for you. And my tip for you is go for it. Go for it. Do not let these occasional ups and downs pull you back into old cycles. All right, so focus on the questions, what the learning experience was, and what you need to feel safe, and what you need to go through fear, because this is basically what these past 3-4 weeks were teaching us. On a physical level, I'm expecting people to come up with the increased kidney issues and bladder issues. Bladder issues came in big time, but also headaches again, more the temple type of headache, and the pressure that we energetically sensitive sometimes perceive when we have downloads, when things are coming in, but we are not fully clear yet on whether we want to perceive them or not. So the part that we the part of our vision, the part of our purpose that we cannot see, sometimes does not allow us to access these energies that are actually coming in for us. So that's something to pay attention to. When this happens to you with the headaches, then go into this calming place, this slowing down place, and meditate. I don't say this very often, but really for the next week, you will find meditation extremely conducive. And if you know a little bit of energy work, then focus on grounding your energies and releasing some of the mental overlay that is coming in from the collective. If you have issues with your bladder, with your kidneys, or if chronically or acutely next week, then of course, you need to pay attention to the medical parts, because it can go very quickly into a threatening situation. But your kidneys and your bladder, they're there to flush out, to release, the toxins in your system. It's your piping basically, and when they are clogged and you cannot fully release that, then you know that you are storing, that you are absorbing too much. So the best way to prevent this is by really hydrating yourself well, and also aligning to water altogether to increase the flow, because sometimes we can, the rigidity that we have can create this congestion in our piping, if you will, on an energy level as well. Also, and this is sort of grandma's kitchen remedy, try to drink cranberry juice, help your urinary tract with natural antibiotics, everything that is water soluble that helps you to flush things out. All right. Emotionally, the space for emotional healing that I've called this energy update here requires you to really accept that there are some things that need to be healed, and to claim that space. In relationships, this can sometimes be a bit tricky because your partner or your family see you going through stuff, and they may want to fix you, or you may not want to admit that you are in this place. So my recommendation for you here for this next week is to allow yourself to spend a little more alone time with yourself, but at the same time also utilize this expansiveness that comes out of you sort of loving yourself, maybe through self-care. Then go back out, okay, and then reconnect with your family, reconnect with your loved one. It's Valentine's Day coming up, so there's even without the commercialism, a good opportunity here to put this into action, to create a beautiful space for that, to cook a nice dinner maybe and decorate a little bit, and not just creating this space for yourself, but also for your loved ones. This helps you align to lovingness and to the expression of love. Mentally, it's really now about this learning experience, to transcend this learning experience, and internalize that, and to think outside of the box. Really, if you have the time, watch these 21 days of breaking through the matrix, because this is exactly what all this time here is about right now. There is in-depth instruction for each phase of breaking out of old patterns, of the collective restriction that we all perceive. Socially and behaviorally, some of the energies that are coming in right now have to do with our identity, with trying to find who we truly are. And this often collides with how other people see us. So we need to make sure that we don't continue seeing ourselves through the eyes of others, but that we really come from within and really connect with this identity part in us, which means that we also need to look at some of the false self and the shadow aspects that can still dominate our choices, or simply dominate our perception, so that we are really caught in these limitations. At transCODES here, we're going to do quite a few energy sessions this week and weekend First, we're going to align to true love on Friday, and then on Saturday, we're going to look at the energetic aspects of sexuality. I'm bringing this up, talked about last week, that sexual energies and us not fully being educated and trained in how to deal with our sexual energies neutrally often leads to these hidden things, leads to these guilt aspects, leads to these shadow aspects in us. So if you actually want to learn how to work with this on an energy work level, where there's no moral or judgmental connotation to it, then come to our Healing Circle workshop this Saturday. We'll continue with the shadow work next week, by the way, and also a karmic relationship clearing session. So everyone who feels like they're under the influence still of ties to certain persons, to certain collectives even, or exes, that's a very good modality for that. Spiritually, I would recommend you to really tune into your higher vibratory inner guidance. You are already provided with that, so maybe dedicate a few of these meditation sessions that I've mentioned to tuning into your larger vision, into the new things, the new approaches that you're embracing now. This breaking free from the old can temporarily produce a little bit of a vacuum in us, and it can lead to us feeling a bit empty for a little bit of time. And there you can, or you need to be careful not to be pulled back into your old patterns, because it can trigger loneliness in us and so forth. So connect with others as well. Come here to our free self-healing community. That's all I can say, really. It's a forum community with wonderful, wonderful posts, and people are very serious and sincere about this transformation process, and sharing for everybody. That's something in a sleepless night when you can't get your head out of fear. Something you can do. Watch more videos that help you to tune into all of this, that show you that you are not alone here. And on an energetic level, that's actually really where this needs to go here for the next week, namely into seeing ourselves as sovereign of our own energy, but also simultaneously seeing ourselves as part of the bigger whole, and how we can go into synergy with that instead of locking into the fight against what's coming in from the outside. Yeah, so these are my tips for you guys. It's been quiet here in the comments today. I hope you guys are all doing all right. Pay attention, to your own energy. If you feel that you're getting caught up into drama or, too much intensity, then exercise consolidation, how to consolidate your energy. If you watch day 20 of these 21 days breaking through the matrix programming, it explains it in detail there. Yes. All right, guys. I've got to go now. If you're interested in how all this plays out in the digital currency, cryptocurrency world, and financial economy, then join me here in 30 minutes, same channel, for the Crypto Spiritual Weekly for week 7 as well, and how all these collective energies can play out in this financial market that is currently reflecting collective energies like no other place. All right. Thank you, guys. Love you. Hope to see you next week. And please smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be informed about ongoing sessions, programs, or new articles coming out, then subscribe to my email list. Some people were offended by receiving those free energy training lessons every day for 21 days and unsubscribed. So I'm looking at that as a needed learning experience and good riddance of what is no longer needed. But let's build a new email list here for me and help me to share my work. Thank you. Yes, they were fantastic. Thank you very much. Bye.